Doom 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 doom. The champ is here. Doom 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 doom. The champ is here. Yo, it's hell up in Harlem. All right. Jim Jones and Joel Santana seem to be like a separate part of Dipset. Then you got Cameron and Mase that seem to be a separate part of Dipset, which is kind of troubling because Dipset was that group that could have been Wu-Tang Part 2. They could have been Wu-Tang for Manhattan, right? The Harlem group of Wu-Tang, right? And they had an opportunity to put the East Coast on a map and make it look a certain way. They set a lot of fashion trends. They had a lot of people want to be like them. They even had guys wearing pink at some point. Dipset was a huge movement in the East Coast and throughout the world. But the problem is they couldn't sustain that because of the one simple fact that egos, beefing amongst the crew, got in their way. You got a lot of guys on that Dipset that when Jim Jones was beefing with some hold on when
Nigga, please.
Cameron was beefing with G Unit, right? Jim Jones and Joel Santana decided to make friends with G Unit during the height of the beef. That's really sucker shit. You know, that's like Lloyd Banks hanging out with the Game or Rick Ross during the height of their beef, then going back to G Unit and saying we're cool. You know, that's wrong. That's just wrong, man. That you just don't do stuff like that, especially when you're down with a certain crew. You know what I mean? If you can't trust somebody, you're gonna always push them to the side. And I think Cam don't trust Jim Jones or Santana the way he probably trusts Mase. He's probably more closer to Mase. And the fact that Jim Jones says that he don't like Mase, that he will smack Mase, that creates friction within the group. Because now Cameron has to pick between the two. And I think he already picked that he want to rock with Mase more. And that's a guy that he's been feuding with for years. But I think half of that feud was egged on by the fact that Jim Jones didn't like Mase. Right? So Cam was just leaning towards Jim Jones' side because Jim Jones was still involved in the rap game, and Mase was going to church and stuff like that. But it's very understandable that Mase and Cameron have a brotherhood, a friendship that can't be broken up just because Jim Jones is a hater and Jim Jones is a toxic guy. Okay, wherever he goes, he creates friction between groups. All right, this is the same guy that had beef with Max B, beef with artists that he put on. He never even put artists on. He never gave it up and put really artists on. They all had downhill careers. You know, Stack Bundles is a guy he's supposed to be helping out. Look what happened to Stack Bundles. You couldn't even get that man out the hood. All right, so now all of your movements failed, but Cameron's movements, half of them did, none of them really failed because he's responsible for making Jim Jones famous. He's responsible for making Joel Santana famous, okay? Y'all all was carrying off the back of Cameron. He was the 50 Cent of Dipset. He was the RZA of Dipset. And he's the main guy that got shit popping off. And Jim Jones, you mean to tell me you can't put aside a stupid feud you have with Mase that's probably not even serious for y'all to get along and try to make good music or at least squash the beef? Y'all probably in y'all 50s or late 40s, right? Shouldn't y'all be handling yourself in a more professional manner? You know, you got a guy in Jim Jones in his late 40s or early 50s talking about gangs and, you know, lobby boys and all this other stuff. Aren't you too old for that? Won't you put on a tight suit and educate young cats? Because you're brainwashing a lot of these people that you're talking about, all right? You preaching this gang culture to a bunch of young kids in the hood, but you go back to a house for a millionaire that lives in a mansion. I think it's really, like, hypocritical. And this is the reason why New York City rap failed a lot and couldn't reach its full potential because a lot of us just can't simply get along. It's crabs in a bucket all fighting each other. When we started hip hop, and we have the capabilities of taking over hip hop like it never has been taken over. Because at the end of the day, it starts and ends with us. And if we out here beefing and looking like fools, we're making hip hop culture look bad, and we making New York City look bad. Get y'all shit together, man. This shit is just uncalled for and stupid. New Yorkers like drama too much. Man, just Prince TV out. Peace.